Hello and welcome. So, coming into this space of receiving in, what I receive is as one would see themselves as the feminine aspect of creation. Ahashana, Athene, Athemone, Ahashana, Ashine, Ashine. So, as we enter into and through the union, Ahashana, Athene, Athemone, Ahashana, Ashine, Ashine. One is able to receive their divine graces, Ahashana, Athemone, Ashine, Ashine, as well as this masculine aspect of creation, Ahashana, Athemone, Ahatana, Ashine, counterpart energy. Allowing that energy to step in. Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine, Ashine, Ashine. So, seeing here now this, I have been seeing this over the last couple days, this chalice and this infinity symbol, Ahashana, Athemone, Ashine. So, this infinite container that one is able to hold, Ahashana, Athemone, Ashine, Ashine, this divine flow, Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine, this what can be referred to as the Shekinah, Ahatana, Ashine, Athemone. What I refer to is the sacred feminine, Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine, the sacred feminine of creation, the Divine Mother, Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine, Athene, Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine. So this ability to ground in, anchor in this this overarching frequency, Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine, Ashine, Ashine. Like almost like this, okay, listening to your children's wishes, opening to receive, Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine, Ashine, like being being guided by your child, being guided by spirit, Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine, Ashine, because children are still very connected to their spirit, Ahatana, Ashimone, Ashine, Ashine, and they allowing that to be a part of that childlike spirit, to be a part of one's process. Ahashana, Athene, Athemone, Ahashana, Athene. All aspects really considered here. So, not sure exactly what was that. So this Divine Mother, this Divine Father. So what I've been connecting to lately is this I get this with these words Divine Triad, but it's not So if you can imagine like two people coming together, like two individual consciousnesses, right? To bring together, to blend together, to harmonize these masculine and feminine aspects of creation. Ahashana, Athemone, Ashini, Ashini. So if one would imagine, right, within our capacity, within our ability, it's to heal these these templates, the Divine Father, the Divine Mother. How does one actualize into their own human divine potential, right? This is to be truly within one's, human expression, ahashana, within one's lived reality, ahatana, ashemone, ashini. So this kind of like this, you can imagine like a human path of redemption, or whatever one's personal journey is to be recognized as, ahashana ateine atemone ashini. So that support for one's, individual journey, ahatana ashemone ashini ashini. So this embodiment of, you could say, this divine mother, this embodiment of this divine father, right? How would that be within your lived experience? And this is not just to be within, this is to be within all experience. Ahashana ateine ashimone ashini. Most in the sense of, giving birth to oneself. There's this, within postpartum traditions, traditional understandings, right? When we look at how perhaps when we lived in perhaps more connected society, let's say, ahashana ateine atemone, these community, as community comes together, the deeper meaning when it comes to, certain transitionary periods of one's life, of one's existence. You can imagine, when a feminine, let's say, or a woman, gets her first cycle, right? It's this really, you could say, not great practices when it comes to these honoring events of very pivotal moments in people's lives, right? Simply coming from the perspective of, let's say, a woman, but within, when we look at like marriage, right? How marriage is honored, and how people really are not focused on the important details when it comes to marriage. Many people, and that's why we have so many problems we do. And and I've been there, I get that. But it's this almost this like full reclamation of one's power within our lived realities. Ahashana ateine atemone ashini ashini. So this, again, within the postpartum traditions, it's this, you are birthing mother. Right? This is not something that it's becoming mother, right? It's the transition from one old identity to a new one, and that is a pivotal process. And yet, unfortunately, it is generally not supported well within you could say within society itself, right? And it's also this what I have found, this where we focus so much on certain things that we okay, so like for instance, focusing on what to buy for the baby, or like we're talking about during pregnancy, like this how we feed into the system, one could say, right? How we are not really reclaiming motherhood. Ahashana ateine atemone ahashana. So motherhood is this very strong, the Divine Mother, this really truly being mother, right? Ahatana ashemoni, not this performative action. Ahatana ashemone, ashini, ashini, but birthing oneself as a mother, just as one is, right? Ahatana ashemone, ashini, ashini. This is a very important part to recognize, that is so important for relationships, so important for marriages, so important for families, right? It's this almost this like creating of this container to allow, right, one's relationship to grow, to one's relationship to transition, to one's relationship to adapt. But unfortunately, what we often find, right, is there is this, like that would be the true nature of relationship. That would be the true way to um, bond, to create, right, to continue to create marriage. I see marriage as something one chooses. It's something one chooses to be within. It's a choice one makes. Right? You could say to be within honoring, to be within one's own sacred marriage, right? One's own truth, one's own I wasn't expecting it to go here, so it's just interesting. Releasing out some old energies, some dark mother, one could say, right? It's this really also recognizing ourselves within our, right? We are not, so I was watching this short clip by Dr. Maya Angelou, and she was talking about this human connection. She's talking about this human connection, how we establish human connection. And it is through the understanding that we each, every single one of us, have the capacity within us to act in these egregious ways, let's say, right? That we see external to us in humanity, and we judge. And we judge, and we want to stamp out, and we think somehow that if we create all of these things out there, that somehow that's going to protect us from these things. But it is not through that. It is through the process of can you imagine if we taught our children how to be in the world? Truly highly emotionally intelligent beings of light. Innovative. Can we imagine if we all started to allow our children to reach their full potential? What would be that first step? What would be that first step? And you just take that now, whatever that may be. Whatever that may be for you. It's that it is truly in the nurturance. you know, the nurturance of it's a creationary trait, one could say. It's something that, you know, is Divine Mother energy, that nurturance. You know, and then at the same time, I was reading something today about this. So as you, it had to do with like mutual co-creation or um, within relationships, right? And it was this right, one must hold a partnership in order to truly become that divine mother and that divine father as well. That is what we have been blessed with. You know, that is what we have been blessed with. This ability to hold marriage. You know, and we can hold marriage with many people. And we can also hold, you know, the most sacred marriage, you know, that one may have with their complementary other. Ahashana atemone ashini ashini. So it's within that. Understanding that we really truly do need, you could say, one another, ahatana ashimoni, in order to truly experience ourselves, right, fully, wholly, and completely within our existence. Ahashana atemoni, our divine, you know, experiencing our divine self. This living this truth, living this existence, right? And so I was reading this you know, the more you're able to essentially hold within one's, like, you know, even if it's just one's own individual system of who one is, right? Your code that you live by, let's say. You know, and then I'm brought to the song like, you know, teach your children well, right? It's a Crosby, Stills and Nash song, and it's a great song, and it reminds me of college back when I won't get into it, but I had done this. I had gotten pulled into that whole clear water action, and like, you know, you went around. It was activism, right, for clean water, and you went around and got donations, and you got paid. But I did it for a while, and it was an interesting experience. But I remember once that song was played, and we all kind of just sang it, you know, and it was just connected to it, you know, you could say. But this, you know, this living by one's code, right? And living one's life fully, let's say, also. Right? Learning how to live one's life fully by one's code, you know, one's higher code, you could say. Universal. You know, things that work within, you know, every instance, right? In order to be that highest potential that person can be, right? That child can be, that, giving one a code to live by, right? How does one truly navigate this thing called life, right? Ahashana atemone asheni. And it's so important, right, that that is established. Um, Otherwise there becomes this, this conflict within oneself, when you don't heal, like when you don't heal your stuff, right? It gets passed on to the next generation. Ahashana atene atemone. Ahatana ashene ashene. So this conscious process of like bringing life into this world, one could say, of, bringing relationship in, of, being conscious, really. Ahashana atemone ashene ashene ashene. So what I had actually seen over these last few weeks, and actually I had it confirmed, I was seeing it out, other people were kind of talking about it, was like this release of this old, really this like dark father wound, or this, this dark fatherhood wounding, and this almost being released out, right? Almost where one would not, right? It's where one would not, right, raise their children to live by a certain code, or to be a good human, really. Ahashana atene atemone, ahashana ashini, where one wouldn't instill that, within their children, to let them know that they're, loved unconditionally, and there's always a way out, and we can look at this from these multiple perspectives, and we can really teach our children well. And it's that ahashana atemone ashine ashine, like that. And also that process of that process itself is so beautiful. I mean, yes, you can have a vision for XYZ, but if you don't have the right, if you don't have the right tools, if you don't have the right relationship template, you could say, or the right, where you're both on the same page, or you both have the capacity to, I get the words almost like make that commitment, really. Ahashana atemone ashine ashine. Like that, where one would just not fully be able to hold, right, that potential to be, you could say. Every marriage goes through certain, ups and downs, but it's that understanding of where every relationship goes through up and downs, within families, everything. But it's that, it's that bond you have, right? And how, what kind of bond is it? Is it a superficial bond? Is it something very contractual based? Like that is, or is it something really that's going to stand the test of time? Ahashana atene atemone ashini. And it's in that creation of that. And see, that's the thing. You have to create it, right? You create it. You have two people that meet, right? And then you come together. You bring things together. Ahashana atemone ashini ashini. Like, we're all just ordinary people here. Right? So how do you have, how do you bring everything to the table in order to really create that space for things to truly unfold, as it really is intended to, you could say. Ahashana atene atemone ashini. Like how it is intended to be, like how family is intended to be, how creation is intended to be, how relationship is intended to be. Ahashana atemone ashini ashini. We can't when you have, like, I imagine, like, when you have two sides and both sides are like refusing to budge, right? And that just is, and that's okay, and it's to recognize where one is in that system, right? To step out of that. I do, when I do these, like, meditations, or I call them, like, they're kind of like embodiments, right? I move through my room, and I just kind of, like, I hold space, right? I'll just move my body into another perspective, and then it will come in, right? And I can see that, oh, I can see that now. I hadn't seen that before. Oh, okay, I can, that clearing, right? That clearing through. And I don't know where I was going to go with that, but right, it's that I'm being brought to that. So it's that, again, it's that stepping out of that old system, right, that you had been operating in, what I call the power and control system. However that is showing up for you. Step into your own space of, I get the word receptivity. And then you can see that clearly. One has to separate oneself from that system in order to truly see it clearly. And I get here now, it's like where one is not truly honoring oneself, right? Again, it's in that step-by-step process, right? They're coming together. In order to create that masculine, feminine aspects of creation, right? You need both sides in order to create something new. You need both sides fully, wholly, and completely, like, at the table. You can't just have parts. You can't just have pieces. Right? In order to truly create something new, everything has to be looked at, resolved. I get the word discharged, but it's like this discharge of energy, or almost like this again, it's like stepping into this role of the Okay, and then having the supportive feminine. Right? If you can imagine, again, that divine mother, that supportive feminine, um, that nurturing. Oh, but what I wanted to share, and then I'm going to probably seal the space, is this. So back to this nurturance, this modeling, right? This modeling of healthy nurturance, right? Healthy relationship, because that is how we are intended to teach. It's through that model. So truly living one's, what one speaks, what one says by one's word. Right? And the more you're able to, right, embody that system, live by that system, hold to that system that one holds within themselves, right? You could say the more powerful it gets. The more powerful it gets. Because it's, as something is held over time, right? Like when we can talk about like a reality structure, because really everything that exists out there is you could say in some way, like you could say like a light structure, but it's this this view or this image we hold within ourselves of, how we relate to the world, right? Our paradigm that we exist within. And if we truly want to create the new paradigm, then we must create the new paradigm, right? And we must start within the family. We must start before that, within the relationship, within the healing process. Because it's one thing to just want to bring children into the world, but it's another thing to actually take responsibility for that choice, fully, wholly, and completely, especially the world we live in today. Right, so it's within that taking responsibility of one's own creation. What is one creating on a daily basis? Oh, this was the thing. And it was also this, like, okay, so I had read this, it had provided this holistic model of, and it was like perfect. And it was like, okay, I get it. So there was this holistic model of like truth coherence, right? When you establish this truth coherence, the more one, like me individually, let's say, would live by my own truth coherence, right? Continuously, consistently, constantly, within, right, my life, right? The more, the more powerful it would get, and the more truthful or coherent or calibrated, one could say, it would be vibrationally, right? That code. The more one lives by that, right? That system. Bringing it all together. And so, when you are presented with something that is not a coherent whole, when it is just pieces and parts and whatever it may be, right? But one has this, let's say, this internal truth, this internal system that one is living by, right? On some level, right? And you're brought to this, okay, number one, for me personally, it's like, oh yes, I don't even have to look at it, right? So I have this holistic model. I don't even have to look at that, right? So for me, there was some clearing and some validation there. For me, it was beautiful. I already have this holistic model, right? But within this holistic model, so establishing that, right? So I don't even have to take something that I know is not coherent. I don't even have to look at it because I already hold this model. But this, so this system itself, right? It's built up over time. It's built up over time. and it gets more calibrated, the more, the more coherent, etc., etc. And I don't remember. I started to get excited, and I don't know where I was going to go with that. I got distracted for a minute. But within that understanding, let's say, right? I don't know where I was going to go with this. I totally lost it. A holistic model of really how we create this new paradigm. How do we create this new paradigm, right? Almost this is like holistic model of relating, right? Of conscious relationship, of conscious connection, of conscious being. Ahashana atene atemone. Ahashana atene. But it's in the understanding that one cannot exist without the other. So this is something that you like create, right? For yourself. It's an experience. How do I become that which I already am, right? On a deeper level. How do I get the support that I need to, right, move to that next level? Because we all need the support. We can't do it without the other. Can't do it without the other. So how do we begin to start coming together to create the new? We create the new as we release the old. When we recognize it no longer holds any value or any power or any control over us anymore, right? It's this ability to be within connection, right? Be within trust, you could say. Almost like this release of this isolation, this celebration, this coming together, this honoring, this joy, this bliss, this experience of oneself. That freedom to just be, right, within the moment, to just create. And to know how to, work through your shit when things come up. Right, you need these things in a healthy You need to teach these things. These things need to be taught. Healthy ways of relating. Healthy ways of being within relationship. How do we get there? How do we truly coexist? How do we bring everything together? How do we bring all of our, how do we become one? How do we create one? I know this is kind of all over the place, but and so it is.